الله وبركاته. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi everyone. Alhamdulillah, we just finished our 15th lesson, mashallah, and we are going to be going over our grammar, inshallah, today. As always, before we start, let's take a little deep breath. Stretch out if you have to, do whatever you need to, get a bit of energy. Inshallah, a few more minutes and then we're done with this today's lesson. And we always start with asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help with the dua. Rabbi zidni ilma. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our knowledge and make it easy for all of us and make it easy for us to remember goodness, inshallah, and implement it in our lives. Ameen. Hope everyone's saying ameen at home as well. In today's lesson, inshallah, we're going to be going over fi'l, the verbs, and the tense we're going to do. We're going to introduce a new tense called amar or nahi, which amar, if you recall, we went over very, very briefly whenever we go through three different types of verbs, which is a command or a forceful command. And a nahi is essentially the opposite, where you're being commanded to not do something. So amar is positive, do something. Nahi is don't do something. And inshallah, we're going to go over three examples, which is if'al, iftah, and ij'al, inshallah. Now, how are we going to learn our grammar? Same way we've always been doing, with TPI, or total physical interaction. How do we use it? We hear it with our ears, we see it with our eyes, we think about it with the brain that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has gifted us with. We say it with our mouth and our tongue. We show it with our hands. We love it with our heart, and we do it all together. Alhamdulillah. Gentle suggestion reminder for those of you that are at home, if you're watching this as a group and as a family, please encourage one another to do it, to make each other comfortable with this. It really helps with the ability to retain this information, this knowledge, and so we can use it, inshallah, in our daily lives. And for those of you that are watching this at home individually, please do it together as a group. We're all doing this together, inshallah. Now, as a quick recap, and we'll try to keep this as short as we can on today's lesson, we're just going to go over the foundations that we've built so far. So what do we have? We have in Arabic three different types of words typically, a noun or an ism. And we see in the top left corner, there's el, which we say if you want to go from a common noun to a particular noun. So for example, saying a car versus the car, a specific one, we'll add the two letters el, alif lam. And those tanweens, fatha, damma, kasra that you see at the top, we're saying how we go from a singular to a plural. So if it's singular, it'll have the tanween at the end, and if it's plural, it'll have waw noon, ya noon, or alif ta, depending on the word, the gender, the context, etc. So that's nouns. We talked about fa'il, which is a verb, and a harf, which is a particular, which joins the two together. And we've gone over several examples. We've been focusing on the verbs of the fa'ils because there's a lot of that in the Quran, and because these are commandments, these are good things for us to learn about, or even if we learn about somebody else's verbs or fa'il, what they did, it's a lesson for us to learn from in the Quran. Now, in the Arabic language, we said that fa'ils or verbs typically they're made up of three letters or root letters, and they follow four different categories, which is fa'ala, fataha, nasara, daraba. And we've gone over all four of these. And what we mean by patterns is the way that the words will change, just the punctuation. So fatha, damma, kasra, as it's going from one form of a verb to another. And we're going to just do a quick recap for that as well. Now we said within the fa'il, the verbs, we have three different types. One, which is the madi, or the past tense, something that already happened. Mudari, something that's happening right now or will happen in the future, also known as the imperfect tense. And the third form, which is what we're going to go over today, which is called a fa'il, or a command. You're being told forcefully to do something. Now, we went over the word fa'ala and the mudari term, madi term before. Remember, fa'ala, he did, fa'alu, they did. And remember the same word to say, ta, tu, tum, na. So it's fa'al ta, you did, fa'al tu, I did, hands down when we're doing the madi, fa'al tum, you all did, and fa'al na, we did. Then we went over the mudari term for the same word, which is, remember, the hands are down here, like waist level or whatever you want to call it for madi. Mudari, we're going up because you're going to be looking at the future as well. So it turns into yaf'alu, yaf'aluna, taf'alu, af'alu, taf'aluna, naf'alu. You have these mnemonics on the right side, which is if you want, you can talk about yasir, yasiruna, tawfiq, ana, or me. Tawfiqun, if there's a few, and nahnu. So that's how you can tell what the first letter is going to be. Quick little hack for you. Remember we said that for the Maldi term, think of it as something that's already happened. If a car passed by you or a plane passed, you're only going to see the tail lights. So only the back part of the word is what's going to change, or the letters. And if something is going to happen in the future, you're going to see it coming towards you, right? Before it's passed you by. So then the first part you're going to see of the words what's going to change. So the analogy here would be that you see the car or the plane coming towards you. At the bottom, you'll see that plane coming down. That's why the letters at the beginning of the word for a mudari mudari verb will be changing, just the front part. Now, alhamdulillah, that's a quick recap. And in today's lesson, like we said, we're going to be going over the amr term. Before we do that, we're going to add in a few last reminders here. So there's the word for in the mudari term, in the mudari term, so imperfect now or in the future. One word is sawfa. Sawfa, which means soon. And you can see in the Quran, it's come in the Quran 42 times, subhanAllah. Now there is a variant of the word sawfa, which is just adding the letter sa, which means very soon. The idea here is almost like an emphasis where it's so soon, you don't have the time to say the next two letters. So instead of saying sawfa, sa, wa, fa, you only have time to say sa. That's how soon it is. So that's the main point here. So how can we use this? We've already gone over يفعلوا يفعلون تفعلوا أفعلوا تفعلون نفعلوا. Now we're going to say not just the he or they or you and I do, but now we're going to add timing to it. So when are they going to do it? When are they going to do it? سوف يفعلوا, soon he will do it. سوف يفعلون, soon they will do it. سوف تفعلوا, سوف أفعلوا, سوف تفعلون, سوف نفعلوا. All of this is just using the same verbs that we've already learned in the mudari tense for the verb fa'ala, and we're just adding the word sofa. You can see nothing else changes. All we're adding is a bit of timing in here to say when this person will do it. Just in the interest of time, I'm going to explain some of these things, and we may skim over the practice just to get back on schedule, inshallah. Now, other example was, what if they're going to do it very, very soon? We just said that in Arabic, you can just add one letter, which is sa at the beginning, and it means it's very soon. Whatever the context of that sentence is, it's going to be done very soon. So if you were to ask, when will he do it, right? The answer would be, if the answer is very soon he will do it, you would say sayaf'alu. Not even sawfa. Yaf'alu. Sawfa, it would be soon. Sayaf'alu means he's going to do it very soon, like right now. He's going to do it straight away. So it's sayaf'alu, sayaf'aluna. Sataf'alu, you will do. Sa'af'alu, I will do. Remember, so it's taf'alu turns into sataf'alu. Af'alu, I will do, turns into sa'af'alu. And you all will do, which is taf'aluna, turns into sataf'alu. Soon you all will do. And naf'alu, which means we will do, turns into sanaf'alu. Very soon we will all do. So again, the recap is, if you want to add timing to any verb that you're doing, sawfa means soon, and if you want to make it even faster, you just add the letter sa, which means very soon. Alhamdulillah. Now we're going to go, just a quick reminder for you, and I want to keep bringing this up because I know we add in one or two principles every lesson, but it's good as a reminder just to keep going through so that inshallah we retain it. Remember, we talked about the retention cycle and how quickly somebody forgets and how quickly we have to revise and able to retain that information, and what the implications are if we revise regularly. That's the reason why we keep bringing this up again. So remember, we talked there are 4 styles of the verb in terms of how the punctuation changes from madi to mudari to the amr tense. And so we said there's fataha, there's nasara, and now you can see where the punctuation changes on the screen. There's those red circles or ovals, which show you how, for example, in the mudari tense, in the middle, we go yaftahu and yansuru. So instead of the fatha, it turns into a dhamma, right? And that has to do, I think, with how the letters work. Your mouth is going to be contorted in a different way, so you're already in a position to say the fatha versus a dhamma, etc., etc. So we did nasara. The next one is daraba. Remember? So it'd be yadribu, he hits. And now it'd be, see, if we've gone from yaftahu with fatha to yansuru, dhamma, and now it's yadribu with a kasra. And the last one we said was sami'a, which means listen, right? So yasma'u, he listens. And now you can see how it's changing. So in this word, you can see how it starts off. The first word has a kasra at the bottom. And we went over a few examples, which is alima or amila, to learn or to do. And alhamdulillah, I would say, as a personal preference, whenever you get a chance, please review this table itself. It's very, very powerful, very condensed, very concise, but very powerful. And that way you'll see that it becomes very natural coming off of your tongue. I'd like you, after you've done your revision, at some point, try and change the punctuation here. So instead of saying yansuru, say yansaru, yansiru. It doesn't feel as natural as well. Anyhow, I would highly recommend that we review this, inshallah. So now that we're done with that, we're going to come into the third form of the verb, like we mentioned earlier, which is amar, or command. And you see me making the fist because this is part of the TPI, and we'll get into this, inshallah, in the coming classes. And again, it's something that's intuitive for me now, I guess, after doing a handful of these programs. So like we said, amar means a command or a request, but it's very forceful, right? You're being very strongly requested, or you're being commanded to do something. An example could be qul, right? Where you're being told, say, very forcefully. It's not a polite or humble request. No, you're being forcefully told to do this. Or a nahi, which again, it'd be easier for the Urdu speakers and Hindi speakers in the group to understand. Nahi means no. So the opposite of being commanded to do something, you're being commanded to not do something or to be prohibited from doing something. So there are hundreds of words in the Quran like this. And true to form, we're going to take the same words we've already learned or been focusing on. Fa'ala, nasara, daraba, sami'a. Inshallah, we're going to move over now into the third form of those verbs, which is amar. So for TPI, we're going to add in one more movement in here. So for amar, any command, we're going to start with the hand up. Now you're pointing toward the sky if you want to, and then you're coming straight down. So it's a command. We're just being do something, do, etc. Right? And we're going to use the same TPI we've used before. We're going to use our finger. Where if we're being told to an individual, it's a single finger. If it's to a plural, then we're going to take our 4 fingers. So follow with me here, everyone, and please do it at home. If you're being commanded to do something like do, we would say if'al. One finger up, starting at the top, and then coming straight down. So if'al means do. If'alu, watch the 4 fingers, do, all of you. That's the amar form. Now when we're doing the negation or the nahi form, instead of going up, down, we're going to go right, left. So you know how when you tell a child, someone, don't do something, no, 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 no. It's intuitive, right? Alhamdulillah, I have a baby as well, and I find myself doing that half the day. Anyways, don't do this, don't do that. So in true to form, if we're doing nahi, again, singular 1 finger, plural 4 fingers, start at the right side and just go across. So when we would say don't do, we're saying la taf'al. Remember, la means no. So la taf'al, don't do. And la taf'alu, don't do, all of you. I will ask for help on this one. We're going to repeat this just to drive this home because it's new. With Nasir Bhai's help, if I may, we'll do this with TPI. So if we were to do if'al,
do,
jazakallah khair, and if'alu,
do, all of you.
la taf'al,
don't do.
and lastly, la taf'alu,
don't do, all of you.
Jazakallah khair. I hope everyone's doing this with TPI. It's a new action, so it's always good just to commit that to memory. And this is the easiest one, telling you to do or not do something. Quick reminder for you as we've gone over again. So when we're talking about directional terms, here's a quick reminder. Huwa, hum, right? He and they. Anta, ana, antum, nahnu. And on the female side, feminine, on the left, it's hiya. And on the left-hand column, what you'll see is we're adding now directional terms, right? So it's not just he, we're not talking about the person, but something about them, right? We would add who and whom for his and their, ki for you and my or I or ni as well, kum, na for you all, us, all of us, and ha for her. This is just a reminder. It's going to be very, very helpful, and you'll see this as well. Um, I'm going to go over this very, very quickly, but here you're going to see the verb fa'ala in all three forms, like we said. On the right side, you have the madi or the past tense. In the middle, you have the mudari, something's happening now or in the future, in the imperfect tense. And on the left-hand side, you have the amr or the nahi command form. All right, so very quickly, it's fa'ala, look, hand down here. Fa'ala, fa'alu, he did, they did. Remember, ta'tu, tumna. So fa'alta, you did. Fa'altu, I did. Fa'altum, you all did. Fa'alna, we did. Now, for the middle, it's the mudari term. So my hand's no longer down here. It's up, right? I'm going to the future. So it's yaf'alu, yaf'aluna. He does or they do. Taf'alu, af'alu. You do or I do. Taf'aluna, naf'alu. You all do, we do. Now we're going to the left-hand side, which is the amma. Hand and fist like this. So straight to from the ceiling to the floor. If you're being if'alu, to do. If'alu, all of you. Watch the four fingers. Now if we're doing the nahi or the negative form, right to left, right? So it's la taf'alu, don't do, and la taf'al, sorry, don't do, and la taf'alu, don't do, all of you. Just in the interest of time, we're gonna skip through this, go through that quickly without any practice. But I want to add in just a few examples for spoken Arabic. So if you were to be told, with Nasir Bhai's help, of course, if you were to be told, if'al, do, your answer here would be?
Af'alu, I do.
Af'alu, I do. Now if we're talking to a group, say, af'alu, all of you do. The response would be?
Naf'alu, we do.
Naf'alu, we do. Alhamdulillah. So you can see how the difference, remember, same thing we talked about, how if it's you and I, the response would change. So that you're talking in your first person self. Same thing here. Now we've gone over fa'ala. Now fataha we're going to do very quickly. I'm just going to do this myself, if it's okay. So similar to what we saw with fa'ala, now we're doing iftah or fatah, to open. So fataha, to open, turns into iftah. Means you're telling someone open, whether it's a door, it's a book, anything. And iftahu, you're telling a group of people open, you all. La taftah, don't open. Something that's bad, something that's negative, whether it's a bad topic, a bad door, or the garbage can. Or la taftahu, don't open, all of you. You're telling a group of people, do not do this. Similarly here, this is a great table for revision, where you see on the right side, you have the madi, the past tense, middle is the mudari, imperfect tense, or that was happening now or in the future. And on the left-hand side, we have the amr, the command form. So it's fataha, fatahu, he opened, they open. Fatahta, fatahtu, you open, I open. Fatahtum, fatahna. So remember, ta, tu, watch the fingers, tum, na. And then when it's mudari, like we just said, hands no longer down, but a little bit higher, because we're talking about the future. Yaftahu, yaftahuna. He opens, you all, they all open. Taftahu, aftahu, you open, I open. Taftahuna, naftahu, you all open, we open. And the command form being iftah, iftahu, open or open you all. And la taftah, la taftahu, don't open you all. So alhamdulillah, I think you can start seeing the commonalities happening here, right? So similarly, one last one with the spoken Arabic with Nasir Bhai's help. If you're being told iftah or open, the answer would be?
Aftahu.
Aftahu, I open. You see how the TPI, my hands coming upwards, because the mudari tense. I'm saying I do this. Now if we were told aftahu, all of you open.
Naftahu.
Naftahu, we open. Alhamdulillah. Now ja'ala, it's one more. We're gonna skim over this just because I want this to be homework. It's something we can practice and use the other two words as a reference. So remember, ja'ala means make. So now you're being told ij'al. Ij'al means make. You're being commanded to make. Or ij'alu, a group is being commanded to make. La taj'al, don't make. And la taj'alu, all of you don't make. You'll see here we're adding the ja'ala turns into ij'al, ij'alu turns into ij'alu. There aren't that many changes here. The main thing you're looking at is adding in a new physical form for TPI and getting some practice on the words. Here, I'm going to just leave this. I'm not going to go over this form, but this is a summary. revision for the word ja'ala in the 3 forms, which is madi on the right, something that passed, mudari in the middle, the imperfect tense, something that's happening now or will happen in the future, and on the left-hand side, the amar or the command form. Now, alhamdulillah, we're done with the lesson, and very quickly, as we always do, we'll finish up with a learning tip. And what we have for this week is to create an environment for learning. I can't emphasize just how important this is, and I think everyone can understand this given this very interesting year we've all been through in 2020, whether it's working remotely for those that are working, whether it's studying remotely for those of you that are still in education, or generally just not being able to go outside but having to do things at your home. So we can't emphasize, and I know everybody can relate to this now, that having an environment for learning makes a big difference. And how can you create a positive environments? Whether that can be in having posters, just general reminders of things that are important for you, whether it's hard work, it's Quran, it's learning things. Having your vocabulary sheet around you. That way you always have your resources handy. Having the video and audio recordings on your phone, accessible on your car, very helpful. I will attest to that last night while driving. I had to go somewhere for about half an hour, 45 minutes. Alhamdulillah, I had things handy and just on the drive, I listened to it, which it helps retain information. So proof positive there. Keep the textbook on your table. Keep it close, whether it's having a whiteboard or any type of large sheet somewhere where you can think, write down key things that are important for you. It's always very, very helpful. And lastly, and most importantly, create an environment with people, not just yourself. So having friends, partners, family, etc. around you, this helps. This helps to remind, to keep continuing and to keep that going. Now keep the word sheet, most of all, keep that vocab sheet, like we said, with you. Refer back to it if you can after every salah, preferably. That'll help with retention, and it'll really, really help, inshallah. And it'll stop that idea of having to think about learning as just being 1 hour a week or at this time to this time. It should always be a continual process. Those that are true scholars and that have learned a lot genuinely find themselves as being lifelong students and never stopping. Now, alhamdulillah, on that note, just as a reminder or a recap, we've learned 186 words, subhanallah, in the past 15 lessons that have occurred in the Quran almost 37,500 times, subhanallah. So we've crossed so much, mashallah. The last